Justin Roy, and this is actually my first interview of 2021. And I brought in a guest here today, Kim Wayman, and she's a homeschool, I would say, connoisseur. My wife and I, Jessica, started homeschooling a few years ago, and we would lean on Kim for certain things. And it's funny when you start homeschooling, you kind of get the weird look, like, oh, you're one of those people, and and oh, your kid don't go to school, and well, how do they learn? And now, because of what's going on, and I'm sure we're all sick of hearing the word COVID, and a lot of people are homeschooling or virtual learning, and obviously the struggles with it. So we're just going to talk a little bit about homeschooling and tips and things to think about and not think about, because it's new for a lot of people. So Kim, you just want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. I have 4 kids. I have a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old. So I have a wide range. I am ending my 8th year homeschooling.
Nice.
So yes, so we're into it, and we do all different styles because we go with whatever our kid works for a kid. I have one child with ADHD and one child with autism. And one kid who can learn anything by herself. I really have to give her almost no direction. But the other 3 need a lot more than that. So I run a homeschool group. I've done lots of co-ops. I am running a co-op right now, and I've started science groups. And so I've done the whole range. I've joined groups, I've started groups, and I've helped a lot of families start homeschooling.
Yeah, it's awesome. And in reality, 100 years ago or maybe more, we all homeschooled, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
Before, I don't know the exact dates of history, but that's how it was. And then the school system was formed, and it was only a 1-income family up until, the majority, 60s or 70s. Then all of a sudden 2 people needed to work, and the school would take care of everything. And I think slowly more people started to maybe think that we should go back to how it used to be. And then COVID kind of forced a lot of us. So I'm going to start off with the question, or that I get a lot, or I hear a lot just being out in public about people is, mom and dad both work. How the heck do you homeschool?
Yeah, homeschooling doesn't need to be around regular school schedule. So you can homeschool whenever you want to. You want to do it in the evenings, you want to do it on the weekends. It's 100% around you. So you can work opposite schedules. You can do it any way you want. There is no, this is school hour and this is non-school hour with homeschooling. And we don't ever stop learning. That's the great thing, is there's not we're done learning now. Well, no, you can learn through cooking. You can learn through life.
Absolutely.
So you can homeschool any way you want.
And I think that's a big misconception too, when some people ask me, so what do you do? And to be clear, my wife does 98% of the homeschooling, but what do? They don't get up and sit at the kitchen table for 8 hours.
No.
You can teach your kid in probably 90 minutes what they sit at school for 7 hours, because it's one-on-one. But the learning through life is definitely like, hey, we're going to the grocery store. We have $100 to buy groceries. You make sure we don't go over this $100, or just something silly like that. Or, gas is $1.89 a gallon. I'm going to put in 10 gallons. How much am I going to spend? So that's a big thing too. Another thing I would say, people, is how do you do it when your kids are not, I don't know what we would consider big enough. My kids are 4 years apart, so they don't learn the same thing.
Right.
So how do you, and we only have 2. So when you have 4 or more, because we do know a homeschool family who has 7.
Yeah.
I mean, so how does someone, or what are some tips, or how would someone go about that?
So I tend to group kids a little bit together. So my 6 and 7-year-old do some stuff together. My autistic child's quite a bit below my 6-year-old, so I have to work with him a little bit differently and get him interested in it. So I will group history, and I might do some history stuff where we read a little something and then we make a fort and we play with the history and we go outside and we pretend we're different people in history. And the little kids aren't learning what the older kids are learning. They're not going to take everything from it, but they still learn that it's fun and they learn a little bit about it. And the older kids will work together after and have more discussions. Usually by the time they're 13 or 14, my kids are pretty much doing it on their own.
Oh, yep.
So we've taught them how to teach themselves, and they come to us when they need help, and I set up what we're doing. But by that age, I'm not really doing that much with them other than double checking. They're pretty much...
They're self-sufficient.
They are, and they like to learn.
Yeah.
They don't hate learning. So, yeah, I have trouble pulling my 14-year-old back. Okay, you go play a little bit, because she loves it so much. She loves to learn. So...
Absolutely. And kids, even adults, it's easy to learn when you like it.
Yeah.
Like when I went to public school and I hated art. Like, I don't know why I had to go to art class. I'm not a drawer. I'm not a painter, but I liked wood shop.
Yeah.
I'd go to wood shop every day, all day if I could, and build whatever they told me to build. So, and I think that's another the positive of homeschooling too, is, you can direct them to their interests for sure. So how much homeschooling do you do, would you say, is virtually versus, or through a computer, I guess, versus you actually hands-on?
I don't do much to a computer. Probably total with all the kids, maybe are on a computer about 90 minutes a week, tops.
Wow.
So I don't do much on that. I am an unschooler, kind of. So I like to see what they're interested in and teach around it. So my 6-year-old, she loves to read and she loves Barbie dolls. So we will read about Barbie dolls and we'll play with the Barbie dolls and we do math with Barbie dolls. And the older kids, my 14-year-old hates online learning. So she wants books. She's a book person. My 13-year-old actually likes some online learning, but you really have to work one-on-one with him. With the ADHD, he struggles with being able to pay attention too much. So I kind of go with what the kid wants to do. If they like online, sure, let's do some online. If they don't like it, that's fine. And
in reality, you just adjust.
Yep.
I mean, especially when you're starting out. I mean, the first few months is going to be a learning curve for everybody. What would be some advice or some tips you'd say to folks who their kids are still in school, but it's all through a monitor and sitting in front of a computer? My kids don't do it, so I'm not too familiar with it. I just, again, stuff that I've been hearing, that kids are sitting in front of a computer all day trying to learn.
Yeah, I think that's hard. And I think you're going to have to kind of do some backup stuff to make sure they're learning it and check on them, because they're going to get bored. And it's not because of the teachers. The teachers are doing a phenomenal job, but it's boring just sitting in front of a computer all day long. So you're going to need to do some hands-on stuff with them, because kids learn from hands-on. They learn from play. They don't learn from somebody lecturing them very well. So you got to get hands-on with them.
And especially when you're at home, you have distractions. I mean, we're sitting in my office. I could easily work from home, but I'd be distracted. Hey, should I do the laundry? Should I sweep? Should I do the dishes?
Yeah.
So you got to, kids are distracted. Let me play with my dog. So they don't want to sit in front of a computer. So I think we've covered a lot about homeschooling in this short amount of time, but what would you say, I mean, we're talking positive about it, but what would you say are some of the cons or some of the things you would say to be careful when you go into, or someone thinking about homeschooling?
Yeah, so one of the things I've noticed is organization. So I recently started a high school co-op for my older kids. And so we have binders, and so they're all organized, and except my kids have absolutely no idea how to do that. And it was kind of funny. We have 2 kids that have been in public school in our co-op, and they instantly know exactly how to organize and write down their assignments. And my kids are like 3-year-olds, and they have, it's like watching the Three Stooges. So we actually had to go through and teach them how to do that. I know college professors say timed tests, that homeschoolers excel in college, but sometimes they're not used to timed test. So that would be something to make sure you throw in every now and then, just to prepare them so they're not totally out of their realm. But those are the only couple of things that we've had struggle with. I say be prepared to change. Be prepared to set out what is your goal of homeschooling, and if what you're doing isn't reaching it, your kid's frustrated, it's not working, throw it out and redo it. Don't just settle for it because this is what you planned. You gotta be prepared to go, this is not working.
Let's go through some of my favorite homeschooling myths, and this is the granddaddy, my favorite homeschooling myth. Your kids aren't socialized.
Socialization, yeah, that's what you get all the time. And it's really funny because they don't do a ton of schoolwork. So they're with other kids. Even during COVID, we isolate with another family. Our kids are with other kids 7 or 8 hours in a day. And usually, not COVID times, we're at field trips every week. We take classes at the History Museum and the Science Museum by other teachers. I've gotten, well, your kids only have you as a teacher. Oh my gosh, my kids had 30 teachers or 40 teachers, because they go to all these classes from the experts. They learn geology from somebody who has a degree in geology and does it for a living. So you have to be really, really prepared to take whatever interests them and just dive right into it. And if they're not sure, try everything and see what sparks. But they get plenty of socialization. That's not a problem.
Couldn't agree more, especially around this area. There's so many homeschool groups, and there's so many things that are organized. I mean, again, pre-COVID, but I mean, we've been to the pumpkin patch with homeschool groups and haunted houses with homeschool groups, and the museum in Durham with homeschool groups. So we
park days,
yeah. So lots of support there. You kind of touched this on already, but again, just to clarify, how do you find time to homeschool if you have two working parents? Even if you have one working parent, but let's just say you have two working parents, how do you find time to homeschool?
Yeah, totally around your schedule, anytime. And there is no, I'm exhausted tonight, I just can't do it. Okay, that's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. Go with that. Take a mental break. It's fine. They will learn it. And you can also year-round homeschool. You don't have to do it 9 months out of the year. So you extend it a little bit and do year-round. Now you've got all these extra hours to homeschool them.
Absolutely. And yeah, there is no set schedule. I'm just going to speak on mine for a moment. My son is an early bird. My daughter is not. My son gets up at 6:30, and he wants to get his school done ASAP, so he has the rest of the day. So without anybody asking him, he gets the schoolwork out, where my daughter likes to sleep in. We don't force her to get up at 7 o'clock because she's a much nicer person when we let her sleep till 9. And she does her work with a lot more ease if she has her sleep.
Yeah.
And it's just convenient and smooth for everybody.
Yeah.
And I just think that's another thing too. Listen, most of us, I'm sure watching this, we all went to school, getting up at 6, hitting the bus at 6:30, waiting an hour to get to school. It sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it just does. So that's another myth is, where do you find the time? Here's another big one is resources. So I'm thinking about it, or I just started and I want to excel. What are some resources that people could go or check out?
So the first thing you want to do is go to the DNPE, Department of Non-Public Education, and learn what you have to do. Just remember that recommendations are different than requirements. You do not even have to look at the recommendations if you don't want to. The requirements are very few. Join homeschool groups. Talk to people who homeschool. Most homeschoolers are very happy to help and talk with you. I've helped over 300 families just this year alone, or last year, sorry. We just had New Year's. So get their help in it. And our homeschool group, we have files where we've got a whole list of different curriculum, free online resources. I've probably got 300 of them on there. Different homeschool groups, different co-ops. We have a whole list so you can pick what works for you. So start there. Don't just jump in and buy curriculum.
Yep.
Whatever you do not just jump in and buy curriculum. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yes. I agree. And there are, when you get to that point, or if you just want to browse, there are a couple stores here locally up in Raleigh.
Homeschool gathering place is awesome.
Yes.
Huge help. They're very knowledgeable, secular and Christian curriculum. It's used. They're a wonderful place to visit. So yeah.
Absolutely. The checkout. And then my last myth on here, or question, concern, whatever that here is, how do you know, or how do you verify that your kids are actually learning?
Well, you're with them. So you can tell if your kid knows something or not. When you're going through something and you're asking questions, you can very easily tell if your child it's clicking or not. Like, we don't have to give tests. Although if we want to, we have little buzzers and we make up games and we see what they know, but we don't do written worksheet tests.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, if you're checking their work and you're talking to them, you're going to know if they can put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, just like if it was school, you can give them a test. Most of the curriculum comes with a test that you can provide if you want to. And I believe there is like local testing sites that you could take your kid to a third party if you'd like to,
You can't. Well, so for North Carolina, you have to do an end of the year test, which is 12 months after you file your letter of intent to homeschool. You don't need to do it before then, and you don't file your letter of intent until they're at least 7, or turning 7. And you can do it at home. It can be untimed. It can be on the computer. It can be a book that's sent to you. It can be with Woodcock Johnson. We go to Serena Manning, amazing tester.
Is that the lady in Zebulon?
She is in Clayton. There's several testing centers. There's ATC testing center as well. And if you get in the groups, they'll tell you. Yeah. They'll guide you right to the sites.
The support around here is
phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. So even through what we've been going through, there's a lot of support.
And I'm more than happy to help people if they aren't sure where to start. they can always get in touch with me. I don't ever mind that, and I'll send them to resources. So,
So I'll put Kim's email in the link when this is posted, so you can reach out to her via email. So to kind of put a ribbon on this, anything that we didn't mention or you think, or last advice or cautions or anything, if you're going for, whether you're homeschooling forcefully because of the situation, or you just got into it, or your kids are struggling at home, or any last thing you want to put on there that we didn't talk about?
just have fun. Remember that kids learn when they have fun, and it doesn't have to be torture, and it can be this amazing experience where you build a relationship. It's a lot about relationship with your kid. It's not just about learning. It's this beautiful relationship that happens where you truly learn them and they learn you, and you have fun learning things together, and you learn with them.
Yeah.
I'm learning things I never knew, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's what Jessica, my wife, always says. She goes, man, when you teach them, she goes, there's stuff that I didn't even know that, or you forgot about.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful.
And the one thing that I'll just put too, and again, my wife does most of it. She's going to watch this video and think I'm taking all the credit. But, there are days that kids have where they're in a funk just like adults do. And instead of hammering and pressuring them to do it, it's okay to be like, hey, listen, you know what? Today you're in a funk. We can wait till tomorrow. Not a big deal. Relax. And it's just, it's just easier.
Have a day, cook together, cook some cookies.
Yes.
Change it completely up. Have fun.
Yeah, go for a walk, whatever. I mean, it's...
that relationship.
Yeah, we can still get outside. I know it's a little chilly, but you can put, gloves on and hat and, just go for a mile walk. And I don't know. I think it's better than just sitting and fighting and stressing everybody out, because it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So... Well, Kim, I appreciate you coming in and being my first one.
Thank you.
And hopefully we've provided some value today. And stay safe out there and be happy, guys. We don't need to hate each other.